Welcome to the Cross the Line podcast. My name is Carlos Smith, and I have a very special guest with me today. I was on her show towards the end of last year, and she interviewed me. So now we're gonna flip the chairs, and this time she's gonna be on the other side of the questions, and she is the host of A Dose of Destiny, Miss Destiny Kershaw. What's up?
What's up? I'm so glad to be here.
Man, I'm glad to have you on. And I'm glad I reached out to you because you were getting ready to skip town without even telling me.
I know.
So I'm glad I finally got a chance to catch you. I'm going to tell y'all, Destiny is a really good friend and a good person because she kept reminding me. It's been a good 5 or 6 months. She said, I still got your memory card. And I'm just like, man, honestly, I ain't even think about that card. Even today when you said something about it, I was like, man, this thing just slipped my mind. So if you ever give her something, just know she going to give it back to you.
Oh, yeah.
Because that thing had been slipped my mind for so long, and I got so many cards and so much video footage and all this type of stuff. So that was the last thing that I was thinking about. Plus everything I had going on. But for you to keep constantly reminding me that you had it, man, I appreciate that.
Yeah, because you told me, you said, don't lose this card. And I was like, I'm not the type of person to lose nothing,
Right.
Especially if it's somebody else's. I respect people's space and their stuff. So
Yeah, and now that you said that, I forgot what I had actually on that card. I thought it was something that had to do with the documentary, but I can't even remember. And since you had it, I was like, man, all right, what it is. I ain't even think about it. But thank you again.
Of course.
For bringing it to me. So I'm looking forward to having you on. We're going to have a great conversation, and I know everybody's going to enjoy this. So kind of starting out, when people hear your name, Destiny Kershaw, like whether they're from our hometown or wherever else they are, like what do you want people to think of when they hear your name?
I want people to think of me as somewhat of humanitarian, someone that you can look up to, someone that's kind, that's considerate, just all of the positive things. Always bringing a light into the room whenever I come in. Just those things.
Mm-hmm.
Funny, because that is another side of me that
Right.
people don't get to see. So I know for a long time I was painted as this shy and quiet, but that couldn't be further from the truth of who I am. Like that's the complete opposite of me. So I really want people to see the true me, the authentic me, and just know that I do have a voice, and I am out here helping people and helping people evolve. So that's how I want to be seen.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I didn't meet you until we got to Union, because I did all the way up until like my freshman year at Jonesville. Well, my sophomore year is when we came to Union. So, are you born and raised in Union?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, how would you describe Union, and like what was your childhood like growing up in Union?
Well, I will say, despite the worst of the things that did happen to me in my childhood, I was bullied a lot, just for being me, trying to be me. Even when I wasn't being me, still bullied. I didn't really feel seen there. I didn't really feel like people got the chance to really know who I was for real. And they painted a picture of me before I could even show myself fully, before I could even know who I was. And that left a stain on me for a real long time. But despite all of that, I did have a fun childhood. Because I feel like for our generation, we are the ones who kind of had the best of both worlds, where we were outside, but then we also got the chance to have computers and cell phones and things like that. So I really appreciate that part of my childhood, where we still played cops and robbers, and we still met each other at the park at certain times, and still had to be at home when the street lights come on, and all of the things, because we didn't know what time it was. Had to pee outside because once we go home, we can't come back in.
It's over with.
Yeah, that's it. You at home.
Over.
You can't go. Yeah, and ain't no running in and out the house during the summertime, letting the air out. You need something to drink. You better drink out the hose. Yep. Better hope. We had a ice cream man that used to come. His name was Doug, and we had Frank too. Doug was the cheaper one, but we used to have Doug that came every day. Frank, he only came on Sundays, and his stuff was a little more pricey. But we would hope that they would come so we could get a little snack, and We really had a great time. Played softball. We used to do all kind of stuff.
Yeah, we had a good. Who's the man when they just mentioned that? Who's the man? I remember he used to be at some of the down there by City Park. He used to have like a white station wagon with the ice cream.
Frank.
That's Frank. Okay,
Yeah.
I was about to say I remember him. Like I ain't know his name or nothing, but I remember he used to have a station where he'd pull up to the games and have ice cream and everything like that. So I guess I don't even know where he at now.
They probably not here. They're no longer with us. I know Doug is no longer with us. But
okay.
Yeah, that was old when we was young.
They were probably in they at least 50s back then.
At least.
So
and that's being generous.
Yeah, for real.
They used to have hot weenies and all kind of stuff.
Everything.
We used to love it.
Yeah.
50 Cent pickled eggs.
Yep.
Come on now.
Man, kids don't know about that though.
They really don't.
That was good times right there for real. You mentioned that you was bullied growing up. Did you have any siblings or anybody?
I have an older sister, but she's 12 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of grew up only child.
Almost like an only child, yeah. So you didn't have really anybody to like kind of like shield you away from like the bullying or like to protect you or anything like that?
My cousins, when they weren't bullying me, they could
Dang.
bully me, but nobody else could bully me.
Okay.
They could only talk about me, but if anybody else at school was talking about me, they would step in and try to cause I mean, yeah, when I was a kid, I guess I did present as more timid, and I really couldn't defend myself, but they did always try to come to my rescue whenever somebody else was on my case. Right. So
how was that relationship like? So my brother is 2 years older than me, and I got a younger sister. My sister is 3 years younger than me. So we're still kind of like close in age, and we're close. How is that relationship like with your sister, being that she's 12 years older? Like, did y'all have like a close relationship, or like how is that?
We lived in the house together, and she kind of raised me most of the time. My mom worked a lot. She wasn't at home a lot, so it was always me and her. But we kind of grew up her being like a mother figure to me, and I feel like that stained our relationship a little bit from that sisterly type of bond. But now that I've gotten older and she has kids, because she had her first baby when I was 9 years old. So me and her first baby grew up like sisters, and we're like sisters.
Okay.
So she's more than my niece. But me and my sister, we have a great relationship now. We, have our times where we bicker and all the things, but that's my girl.
Right, that's good. So what kind of things grew your interest, like piqued your interest growing up? Was it sports or arts or any type of thing? Like what would you say you were interested in growing up?
I can sing. So that was one thing I always said from when I was a kid. I always knew I wanted to be an entertainer. I always knew that I wanted to be on the stage doing something of the sort, whether it was singing, acting, whatever. I wanted to be on Disney Channel, and I remember it was a casting call. I think it was in Charlotte, where they did, where kids could come and audition and make rounds to do these Disney Channel, do a Disney Channel show. And my mama wouldn't let me go, which I'm thankful for now, because all of the stuff that came out about Dan Schneider.
Oh yeah, they had all kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
I probably would have got
some creeps.
Right. Yeah, I would have been not a good situation, but that's what I was always interested in: drama, music, just really using my voice.
So I can't remember or not. Were you in band, or did you do chorus in high school? Or?
Yeah, I did both.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say.
And I did chorus in college too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What school you went to?
SMC.
SMC. Okay, I was about to say. And you graduated. So I graduated 2010. Was you 11 or 12?
11.
11.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, y'all all right. Y'all all right.
Come on,
y'all
everybody wants to be class of 2011. Like, let's just get that straight.
They really said we was really the best class. We just had our not getting away from the questions. We just had our with COVID we didn't get to have our class reunion, so they put together. Shout out to Calvin. He put together like a 15-year reunion. They had it at SIP just for people to just come in, just for people that had the opportunity to come. And everybody ain't gonna make it.
Yeah.
So it was just good to see people from our class, get together and just like talk about the old times, man. Cause man, it was
reminisce a little bit.
Yeah, Cause it's like, man, once you graduate, everybody just go their separate ways, kids, jobs, and people relocate.
Life, yeah.
Yeah, life just happens. So it was really good just to to be able to just see everybody come back. Hopefully, maybe they're gonna do something in October. I don't know yet. We need to plan something like a real like reunion for us, man.
At the Veterans Park, cause we had ours at the Veterans Park. I think in 2021 we had ours.
Shit, we needed something, man. It's crazy to think that I've been out of high school for 15 years. That's crazy.
No, it's really crazy to think about.
Yeah. Been out of high school 15 years, and this year be 11 years for college. And I'm like, man.
That's so crazy.
It don't even feel like it's been that long.
It don't.
But then, I got my kids. I got an 11-year-old. I got a 10-year-old. And I got a 6-year-old. So for me, that's really what's making time. Like, really, I never really understood it growing up. People like, man, you don't understand. These really like the best days of your life. And you so eager to just get out of high school and just think you grown. Man.
I'd do anything to have those days back.
I'm telling you.
Would you do anything different?
Would I do it in high school?
Yeah.
I really was just chill in high school, though. I ain't really. Yep, I was quiet. I was very laid back. I still home my same circle from Jonesville. I ain't getting no drama or nothing. I was just real chill. I had a good time in high school.
Yeah.
It was just, to me, it was just simple. Like, really, as long as you just show up and do your work, that was it. That's it. We played football, basketball. You know what? The only thing I probably would do, I played football up until my senior year. That's probably one thing I might have do, just play football my senior year, just because you miss that bond and that, when you go through those workouts in the summertime and you just going through that grind with your teammates, man, that's really like some of the best times, because you're just like, man, every year your team is never the same just because people graduate, some people quit, your coaching staff, some coaches go to different places, so your team is never the same every year. So just cherishing those moments, man, when you were lifting those weights early in the morning and then you running those sprints on the field, stuff like that is like when you really build that bond with your teammates. That'd be something I probably wish I would have did, was probably play my senior year football, but I played basketball too, but that's probably like the only thing. But other than that, I had a good time in high school.
I know,
though.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I feel like in high school is when I started to really come out of my shell a lot more. But first impression is everything. So when people already met me, they already thought, oh, she the quiet girl, or
that's what I thought.
She the outcast or whatever. But no, like I know everybody say they funny, but I'm pretty funny.
I ain't see the times I would speak to you, but like I didn't really like get that feel of like, all right, she talk a whole lot, cause I think you hang with Miracle in high school.
Yes, that's my girl. That's my sister.
Man, I ain't seen her since high school.
Yeah, Miracle, that's my sister for life.
That's what's up. I remember you hanging with her. And she talked a good bit though. I mean, she wasn't like always just in stuff or nothing like that, but I remember she would talk and have a conversation with you. And man, she was short too.
Yeah, she still is.
Yeah, she's still short. I ain't seen her in a long time, but I remember you being with her, and I just remember you being quiet. So, but you say you were outspoken though. So, have you always been like that outspoken though, just the whole time?
Yeah, the whole time. You just have to get to know me.
Right.
I'm not the type of person to just give my energy to everybody.
Right.
I like to put myself in the observer seat and just really observe people and see who I want to talk to like that, and see who I want in my energy, because to me that means a lot. Who you hang around is who you are, whether people want to believe that or not.
Right.
And I'm just very mindful of who I allow in that intimate space. Because I was so silenced as a child, I feel like I have to protect that part of me. But I'm starting to get out of I'm getting out of that, and I still show up authentically instead of being quiet at first when I meet people, and showing them who I am, and then still me deciding whether or not I want to have them in my energy. So I've been taking the more different approach here since I've been
I was pretty much the same way, because even to this day, I'm very like laid back. I mean, it's crazy to think like this is the most I really talk, like doing interviews and picking people's brains and just hearing their story. For the most part, when I'm with my circle, I'm probably like the most laid back, quiet person. But I don't really, talk a whole lot. And even when we got the union, I was just people always say, "Man, you shy, you quiet." Like I talk, it was just to me, I was just more comfortable like talking to the people that I grew up with. Nothing against anybody from union. I was just always just the most comfortable hanging with my same circle. Even to this day, I still roll with my same circle. Like that's just how I was, just me personally.
And I don't think nothing's wrong with that.
Nah.
Not at all. But I do feel like because I don't really hang out with everybody that I grew up with anymore because, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I feel like I kind of outgrew a lot of things that people do or that in the places that people go and things like that. So I'm a lot more of a loner nowadays, but I don't see anything wrong with still, kicking it with your people from now and every now and again. But it's always good to have that growth and branch out a little bit, see what else is out there, because different people bring different stuff out of it.
Right.
Is what I've noticed.
Like you said, you just get older, and like I said, my circle now, it's amazing to see how everybody's grown, man, to fathers and husbands. And it's like we can't. I mean, we get up when we can, but we can't do all the same stuff we used to do when we were younger. Like we can't. Nah, we can't do that at all, man. But we just had a lot of good times, man. And like you said, it's always like it ain't nothing personal. Like we catch up with each other when we can. But you understand that's just part of life and just growing. It's like, man, everybody. It's just dope to see everybody evolve because it's like, man. How we used to like have fun and cut up back in the day, and just to see where everybody is, it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
But I know you said your sister really kind of like helped raise you because your mother worked so much. But what did you feel like if they had any expectations for you? What did you feel like they wanted you to be when you grew up?
Basically, what I'm doing now, they wanted me to go to school and use my brain. I'm smart, but I'm
gotta be smart to be a nurse.
Yeah, but I'm smart, but that's not the kind of. I don't want to use my intellectual abilities to get me through life because I feel like when you, and this is no shade to nobody else, no shade to 9 to 5 because I still have my 9 to 5, but I don't see that in my life. And when I did express, I want to be an actress, I want to be a singer, like I want to be an entertainer, it was kind of like, people you can't do that. That's not what people do around here. Like you have to be here to do that kind of stuff, or you have to know these people to do that kind of stuff. But now that things are a lot different and anybody is pretty much making it, I'm in the position where, okay, I'm grown. And even if I did have to go somewhere else to make it, I can do that. I don't have to go through nobody else to do that. But yeah, that's what they wanted me to do. And at the end of the day, it's not fulfilling. At first, it was fulfilling. I love it. And I still love it to some degree. But it's not fulfilling long term.
Right. And it's like I said, there's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5. I still work mine as well. But it's like I remember a friend of mine, Shannon McCullum. He's Lil Yachty's father, and he was just. I remember him telling me he's a photographer. His dad was a photographer. He's a photographer, and then he was like he knew with Lil Yachty. He was like, man, I just knew from the beginning I didn't want him to work a 9 to 5. And I asked him why. He was like, because he just felt like it kind of, to a certain extent, it stunts your creativity. And it was just like you just kind of like almost trained to like do the same thing over and over for years. And even him though, he's like, there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5 because even though his son is one of the biggest music artists in the world, he still has his 9 to 5 as well. Like he's a photographer, but he works for an airline as well. But he was like, it's nothing wrong with that. But he just knew for his son, he just had a bigger vision for him, and look where he is now, like doing a world tour.
Exactly. And it does stunt your creativity. I'll be at work. I don't even be present at work because I'm editing videos or coming up with video ideas. Or even when I'm caught up on all that kind of stuff, watching YouTube, seeing like what can I do next, what kind of ideas I can get from watching other people doing similar things that I'm doing. And I journal a lot, so it just comes to me that way when I get it out, when I get all of my feelings and my thoughts out on paper. It just comes to me in a creative way to where I can help other people and express myself creatively online. Or if I'm not even doing that, I'll color. I'm just
Anything.
not I'm not present, and I want to be present with the work that I'm doing, but I don't feel passionate
Yeah,
about that.
I'm the same way. Like I tell you, I'm a creative man. Like I
Yeah.
already wrote a book. I got a couple more. Then the documentary, shooting interviews, covering sports. It's like I don't like to do the same thing everybody else is doing. And like I told you before we started this interview, man, when I was the feeling of, when me being out in LA, I was out there for 5 days, covered 3 games and shot some interviews. It's like, man, I'm out here, it tripped me out, just blew my mind to just see I grew up watching Kobe at the Staples Center, and now I'm covering games right here, standing on the court, getting courtside footage and everything. So I'm like, living your wildest dreams, things that I never even seen for myself. And then once it's over with, you come back home, and then like you go back to work, and it's like you conform to what society wants you to do. It's like it's just, all right, we got this routine for you. This is your schedule. You go clock in and do your work every single day. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with it,
Right.
but just for me personally, I don't feel like I could do the same thing like that. Something I'm not passionate about for like the next 20, 30, 40 years, to me personally, what some people do. And a lot of people tell you like they have their 401k tied up into it and everything else, which is fine. But for me, I was like, you know what? I would rather do something on my own terms, because I don't want to look back on life saying, man, I wish I would have did this when I had a chance.
Exactly.
That's just how I look at it. So I'm willing to take those risks, whether it succeeds or it's just something to learn from. Like me personally, like I can live with the results, knowing like saying, hey, I did give this a chance. Like when I was younger, and while I had the time and the opportunity to do it, at least I could say like I really went for what I really wanted to do.
Exactly. That's what I was telling my sister yesterday. I was telling her, I would rather take the risk in doing what I want to do than to take the risk of not doing it and regretting it later. So I'd rather go out here and fail, because I really don't necessarily believe in failure. I believe in it being a lesson. I believe in it bringing you closer to whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. And I just try not to see it as that. And I always have roots here, like what I was telling you earlier. Having those roots, building your roots somewhere, but not getting stuck at the root. Letting it actually, whatever you're building, whether it's a tree, a flower, a apple tree, whatever, letting it actually flourish and you have something to harvest at some point. Because what's the point in planting roots if you're never going to let anything grow? If you're going to just put a cap at the roots and like, okay, yep, I just wanted roots. I mean, if that's what you want, then that's
cool.
That's great. But if you're someone like me and you, we actually want a tree where we can grab an apple and be able to have something edible and tangible from what we grew from the root. You got to be able to branch out, literally branch out. And I think that's what a lot of people fear. And it is scary. Growth is scary, but it's necessary if that's what you desire.
Yeah. But the thing is, I guarantee you, 90 to 95% of the people that we know, they will rather really be doing something else other than what they're doing. They just afraid to take that step and just take that chance because you got bills, you got kids, and all this stuff, which I understand. But if it was really up to them, I think they would really invest their time to like really going after their dreams, whatever it is. It don't have to be, talking on a microphone. It don't have to be being an athlete. You can start your own business or writing, anything. Like, majority of people would do something else rather than just like what they're doing is like a 9 to 5 and just to work and pay bills. But you really got to step out there and take a chance. And for me, I've had money. I lost a lot of money. I've been broke, but I'm willing to, push all the chips in the middle of the table and say, man, I'm just going to go for this thing. Like, no matter what, just me personally, because I don't want to look back, like I said, down the line years later, like, man, I really wish I would have took that chance.
Exactly.
And yep.
And knowing that if you have faith in anything, whatever you have faith in, if it's yourself, if it's God, the universe, Buddha, whoever you believe in, whatever you subscribe to, honey, believe in that and believe that that energy, that force is going to carry you through as long as you make the choice. But you have to make the choice. You have to take the leap. And, you know, it's like jumping out of a plane. You jump out of the plane and then you have your parachute. You just got to know when to hit it. You got to know when to call on the help that you got. You know, but you have to build that foundation with that help. And you just calling on God, just saying, you know, oh, God, help me with this. I mean, he might help you, but it ain't going to be how it is if you're not going to have that faith and that trust if you had the foundation and an actual relationship with God to keep going.
Yep. You got to have that faith. Faith without works is dead. And like, it's one thing to pray, but you still have to be willing to do the work. Like, you can pray all day long, but if you just sitting there and not doing anything, like, you can't expect nothing to happen. For me, man, I tell people my faith in God is everything, because there's no way I could have made it through all of these different situations and traveled all these different places and interviewed the people that I've been able to do without God, man. But I was just willing to show him that, look, God, you give me the assignment, I'll do the work. So, man, I just show up. Even when things don't look promising, like, even, it was crazy is, right before I went to L.A., I made a flyer saying, I'm getting back on the road doing a tour. And the week before I went to L.A., I'm running errands after I get off work, and my starter go out on my car. $900. I paid $900 to just go. And I was like, man, this. But to me, I was like, man, this is just the enemy just trying to, like, discourage me from going after my dreams. And that's what happens. Like, when you going after your dreams, the enemy is going to throw anything at you, big or small. Well, what you think might be big is really not that big of a deal anyway. He's just going to throw different things at you just to kind of discourage you. And most people are like, you know what, this is just a sign that I'm not meant to go. But nah, they're just letting you know.
You keep going.
That's when you keep going.
You got to push through the uncomfortableness to get comfortable. And people think, you know, you can choose to take a sign how you want to take it. You can choose to take it as, this is my sign to keep going, or it's my sign to stop. But you have to have that discernment, and that's why you always have to have that relationship with God, so that you know what's coming from God and what's coming from the enemy, the enemy of your thoughts, because that's really the enemy. Like, if you let your thoughts take over, a lot of people wouldn't be doing half the things. All of the thoughts that I have about the things that I'm trying to do, how I always try to talk myself out of things, and I'm like, stop, like, I can't feed into
shake
that.
It off.
Yeah, I gotta shake it off and say, I wouldn't have gotten this far. I wouldn't be doing this if God didn't want me to do it. It wouldn't even been a desire of mine. And that's what we also have to look at. If you have the desire, a deep longing for something, especially for me, having longed for something of this sort since I was a child, it's in me.
Right.
Like, it's in me. So I have to tap into that part of me. But I ain't got to do it by myself. And all this time I thought I had to. But then that's when I started building my relationship with God and realizing he always beside me.
He got you,
Always. It's been so many times where I didn't know what I was going to do or how things were going to turn out, and they always turn out golden.
It always work out.
Even when it looks like nothing is happening, everything is happening behind the scenes. Because
you keep showing up, you keep having faith, you keep praying. Like, I remember when I was in Vegas last year, and when I was out there, so I shot the interview with Asia Wilson, best player in the NBA, and she from South Carolina. So it's like, how crazy is this situation where God aligns it with two kids from South Carolina living out their wildest dreams? And I remember receiving an email that morning with, like, so the teams, they always send me emails, give me a weekly rundown, practice schedule, everything, game day, interviews. So I reached out, say, hey, would it be possible to grab Asia for an interview? And the lady over the PR department, she was like, hey, I can't guarantee you that you'll get her, because she highly requested, because everybody want to talk to her all the time. She said, I can't even guarantee this. So I was like, all right. I'm still go show up anyway, just
Yeah.
not knowing what was gonna happen or anything. So I get to the facility where they was practicing at, and while I was walking there, I just said a prayer. I said, God, just bless me with an opportunity for a great interview, no matter the outcome. I get through security, get cleared and everything. They had to check my bags and everything before you go in. And she was standing there. She was like, you know what? Today your lucky day. She said, you came just in time. She was like, I got Asia for you. She's like, I probably can get you like 5 minutes with her. I said, all right, that's cool. So I've been doing this so many times. In my mind, it's nothing to me now. Like I set up the camera, microphone, equipment, everything. And she's like, I can get you like 5 minutes. So we ended up shooting like a 7-8 minute interview. It's very humble, laid back.
Yeah.
But to me, it was just like, man, I was just willing with nothing guaranteed, not even have, because most people, if you tell them you can't guarantee them an opportunity, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
I was just willing to like show up. I was like, all right, God, you done brought me this far. I trust you. We're going to see what happens. So I showed up, set up, did a great interview with her, man, and she was just so humble, man. But I was like, how crazy is it that God aligned this perfect opportunity where 2 kids from South Carolina living out their wildest dreams, and I get a chance to opportunity interview her all the way across the country in Vegas.
Exactly.
Like, it's that type of stuff, man, when you have a faith and you pray on the situation and you put in the work. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't just pray and just hope something happens. Put in the work, and God is going to come through.
Man, I tell you.
Yeah.
And even when it feels like nothing is going to come through, like you doing all of this for nothing, that's when you're at the brink. Like, you right on the edge of that breakthrough. And even though you're walking on this bridge, you're walking this path in the fog, when it's time for the fog to lift and you see everything that's beyond it, you're going to say, okay, this was all worth it. And I'm so glad that I trusted God. I'm so glad I trusted myself, because I think that's why a lot of people they only want guaranteed opportunities.
Yep.
Because they don't trust. It's the trust thing. And it's also a receiving thing. Like, you have to be in that energy to receive, like that feminine energy, so that you can actually get the thing that you want. You know what I mean?
Yep. And what's so crazy about it, when looking back at it now, that was just one situation, but when people ask, man, I know you had to be nervous when you interview her. And to be honest, that was the furthest thing from my mind, because I prepped so many times and shot so many interviews. What I was going through my mind was, okay, I'm going to do this interview. That's no problem. But I was like, man, I just hope I got enough money to get back home, because I had spent so much money out there in Vegas, because I was out there for like 4 or 5 days. And I was just like, man, I just want to get back home after I finish doing all these interviews and covering the game. So shooting an interview, that's the easy part.
Yeah.
It was just like doing the leg work and getting out there and everything. That was the toughest part. And I look back on it now, I was like, man, it was worth it. Like, that opportunity, because that was the first WNBA team I really like worked with. But since then, like I said, I just came back from LA. I worked with Atlanta Dream, the Dallas Wings. So that opportunity turned into like 3 other opportunities with other teams. It's like, but I was willing to just put in that work, man. Like I said, that faith is everything.
But it brought you other opportunities.
Most definitely, yep. I want to ask you, so high school and then going into college, like, what was your plans like? Did you go right into nursing, like, right after that?
No. So after high school, like, I would say from like 17 to 23, my life was a mess. I was a mess. I was in an awful relationship that I didn't realize was awful until 5 years in. And, he was just abusive, physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually. And I was groomed. He was older than me. So I was 17, just finishing high school. And so I ended up having to take a gap year, or a gap semester. Yeah, because I ended up going to SMC the spring of the year after I finished high school. So when I was trying to go to school, I was trying to go to Greenville Tech. I don't remember what happened with my financial aid, but that's a mess.
Yeah.
But something happened with my financial aid. Maybe I missed a deadline, or I didn't do something right. Something happened, but I was trying to get the money, and I didn't have a car, so I couldn't just commute. I was trying to stay on campus. And so I missed that deadline. So I was like, okay, I need to try to find out how I can get a car. So I was like, I'm barely 18, not even 18 yet, trying to get a loan at the bank.
Yeah.
And I was just really kind of on my own because I'm a first generation, really. And nobody knew how to help me or
Right.
what to do, how to go about things. So I was just failing time and time again. And I didn't end up getting a car, didn't end up getting a loan or anything. So I was at home that first semester while everybody else went off to upstate and wherever else. And I was like, so I was at home, and my sister ended up going back to school to, I think she went for coding or something like that. And I was just watching her baby because she had a newborn, which is my 14-year-old niece.
Okay.
And I was just watching her and my oldest niece at home doing nothing really. And I didn't even know what I wanted to do because I never really thought about it because I knew all I wanted to do was be an entertainer.
Right.
So I didn't even, they would say, oh, you should be a psychologist because all of the aptitude tests, the career aptitude tests we used to take in high school, I would always score really high on psychology, which it explains why I do the kind of stuff that I do now as far as my podcast. But I didn't want to be a psychologist. I was like, I can't go to school to be a doctor. Like, what? I can't afford that. And just all these limiting beliefs that I had at the time. And so I ended up going to school at SMC, and I did 2 years there, and then I went to SCC, and yeah, that's all the schooling that I did, and it was a struggle. I'll tell you that.
You mentioned you were in an abusive relationship for like 5 years or so.
Yeah.
What was it for you that kind of like pulled you out of that situation? You say, you know what, let me get out of this and like get on the right track.
So during that time, like I said, all of my friends had went off to school, and so I was estranged from them and kind of on my own during that time. But we all went to Miami in like 2016. We just took a girls trip, don't know what we doing, just knew we wanted to go to Miami.
Being young,
living.
Yep.
And I had decided, because I was 20, I had just turned 22 right around the time we went to Miami, or I was about to turn 22, and he didn't want me to go. Like, he begged me not to go. Didn't want me to do anything. And I'm like, I'm so tired of not living my life. I do the same thing day in and day out. I was working at plants, and not saying that there's anything wrong with working at plants or anything like that, but that just wasn't for me.
Right.
That's a man's job. That's hard work, and I just couldn't do it. And so I went to Miami despite what he wanted, and he made my time a living hell down there. Like, we argued the whole time, and I was like,
that ain't no way to live.
that ain't
man.
no way to live. All of my friends are out here thriving, having fun. They know how to live. And I was down there like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to be social. I don't know how to act around them because I've been conditioned all this time. And he would always put in my head, they don't even like you. They're not even your friends, blah, blah, blah. Swear Miracle wasn't my friend, but I mean, we're still friends today. I just talked to her the other day. And you telling me all of this stuff about me and my friends, just like trying to down me, keep me down in the dumps. And I never told anybody this. So I'm gonna bring it here. But I had got real low. It was around Thanksgiving, and I just wanted to end it all. Like, I couldn't take it no more. The constant put downs, the beatings, just all the traumatic stuff that I went through. I didn't feel like, I was like, well, I couldn't go to school. That's all been falling through. And I just didn't feel like life was worth living no more. And so as I was getting ready to just end it all, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because the world needs me, I feel. And my niece called me and she was like, "Are you gonna come out here and see us?" And I was like,
That's a sign from God right there.
literally, right when, like, I kid you not, she couldn't have called at the most perfect time. She called me and I was like, I can't, like, they love me. There's people who love me. Despite what he tells me, there are people who love me and care about me and want me to be here. And I just couldn't imagine what that would have done to them had I done something like that. That would have messed them up. And who knows, they wouldn't be where they are. Because my oldest niece, she's successful. She's a nutritionist and thriving. And they all look up to me. They all come to me for everything, for all kind of support. And I just can't imagine where they would be if they didn't have me here. And I mean, you know, they have their parents, of course, but it's nothing like an auntie's love.
Right.
And how much they love me and how much my friends love me and all the people that I've come into contact, how much they love me and how much I love myself. Most of all, I never thought I could love myself this much. And from all of the traumatic stuff that I went through, it brought me here. And although it wasn't the best thing to go through, I'm glad that I did go through it.
But you learn from that situation, and you know like what to accept, what not to accept. And like you say, you realize like how much you love by so many other people. I remember having a conversation with a guy down in Atlanta, Keon Davis. He owns the Smooth and Groove smoothie shop down there, and he went through a rough patch where he had something with his business happen, and his bank account went like the negative $30,000 or $50,000, and he just went in the hole. And I remember he said he had went home one day, had a gun on the table, and he was ready to like kill himself. But he was like, man, I can't even do this because my wife is gone right now. She got my kids. What if she come back home and bring the kids with her, and they see me just dead and gone?
Yeah.
Like you think about that type of stuff. So he dug himself out of that situation. Now he's doing an amazing job down there in Atlanta. But it's like you just gotta focus on the people that really love you and just like learn, like you said, love yourself and pull yourself out of those situations. Because everybody's gonna go through something, but it's what you like. Don't focus on like the negative things. And like if you with somebody that's tearing you down constantly, you gotta get away from that. Because life is too short to even be dealing with people that's always gonna be negative and just trying to tear you down. So I thank God you didn't, do anything to harm yourself, and you pulled yourself out of that situation.
Yeah, I'm so glad. It gave me a lot to talk about on my podcast, but it also brought me closer to God, because after I pulled myself out of that and I left, finally, like he did everything in his power. So he tried to have a baby with me and everything. And like he thought I started taking my birth control, but I didn't, thankfully.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, he did everything in his power to try to get me to not leave. And after that, I said, my life has more meaning than this. It has to. I mean, abuse after abuse from, growing up, childhood abuse. Bullying is childhood abuse. Like, that's abuse. Calling somebody, fat, ugly, all of the things that I can't control. I mean, I guess I could have, but as a child, it don't register that way.
Right.
Like if somebody was to say, "Oh, you're fat" or "You're ugly" today, I'm like, "Girl, what?" It wouldn't faze me like that. But as a child coming up, you don't know how to take all that stuff, and then from that to being 17 and getting into this awful relationship like that, you still don't really know how to take things. You're not fully developed. So I had years and years of undoing, and I expressed myself through my podcast with all of that stuff and all of the things that I've learned just to help people, because I'm not just on my podcast just talking about stuff. This is stuff that I've lived through and have gotten through, and I'm helping other people because I know I'm not the only one. Right.
And you got a bigger purpose, and like people need your voice, because everybody's going through something. Like no matter what, everybody's going through something, and they need somebody maybe they feel like they don't have anybody to talk to, or they looking for somebody to go to. So
Yeah.
people need your voice, and that's why it's so important to have you and you doing your platform. And the thing I love is like the consistency that you have with it. So at what point was it that you finally say, you know what, let me start a Dose of Destiny and have this platform and be a voice for people and an outlet for people that's going through something?
So, it was really when I started planting my roots here in Spartanburg. When I moved to my first apartment, I had a lot of time to think, a lot of quiet,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of stuff was coming up for me. And I would talk to my friends a lot and help them through things a lot, and just like really, we would always, whenever we would talk, we would always sound like we're on a podcast. And one of my friends was like, "You should just start a podcast." And this was back in 2021. So really, around the time podcasting started to become popular, but I was like, I don't know. But then I said, you know what? Why not? I do have a lot to say. I do have a lot to talk about, and I feel like I can help people. And so it started as the healing experience. That's what it was called at first. And I did that on Apple and Spotify. It was just audio for a few months. I didn't go for too long, because I felt like I needed to learn some more. I had more things that I needed to focus on as far as me. I had more growth to do before I got on here trying to tell people how to heal and what to get through if I haven't fully gotten through. And there's still things that I'm getting through, but I feel like I've gotten through the bulk of it. But then when I came back and I was like, you know what, I need to start back doing my podcast. I'm ready, and this time I'm gonna put it on YouTube. And I didn't want to call it the healing experience anymore, because I didn't want it to just be about healing. I wanted it to be a full experience. So I didn't know back then that I wanted to bring vlogs and guests and things like that onto the platform, but I knew that I didn't want to just limit myself to just the healing experience. And so I was at work, and I remember so vividly, and it was a security guard that would always come to the floor, and he would say, "Yeah, I just came to get my dose of destiny today." And one day he said it, and he would always say it, but I was asking God, I was like, "God, just give me the name of what you want me to call this. What should I revamp into? What's the direction of this podcast?" And that day he came in, he was like, "Yeah, I just came to get my dose of destiny." And I looked at him, I was like, that's it.
Yep.
I said, "That is it." And he was like, what are you talking about? He looked at me like I was crazy, but I was like, "Yes, that's the name of that's going to be the name of my podcast. So I'm going to give you credit every time I talk about it." But yeah, that's kind of how it started. And it just took a whole lot of believing in myself, and just really building myself up and believing in it, in the actual podcast, for me to get consistent.
So for you, how do you decide, like, what do you want to? Because you have a lot. You went through a lot of things. Like, how do you decide, like, okay, this is what I'm gonna talk about today, or I might do this later on down the line when I feel like I'm in a better place about this situation. Like, when do you, or what do you decide? How do you decide, like, what your topic's gonna be?
I have a notes in my phone where I jot down things. I get these things that I like to call downloads in my brain. It just comes to me. I don't know how to explain it. I might be having a conversation with somebody, and I'll say, "Let me jot that down," and I'm gonna come back to it and make a full episode out of it. It's actually kind of cool, because I can talk about one thing and it all just flows for a good 15, 20 minutes. And I'm like, sometimes I'm amazed at myself, because I do that, because it's not easy. But
Not at all.
Yeah, it's really
hard.
not easy. But the way that I come up with things, I always, like I said, I don't know if I said that on here or if we were talking earlier, but I put myself in the position to be the observer. And I observe my own life and what I'm going through, and I pay attention to my life. I pay attention to my patterns. I pay attention to the patterns and the ebbs and flows of life. And that's how I get it's just really feeling based. What I'm feeling, like I was telling you earlier, I want to talk about the roots and the soil and letting the roots grow into something that you can harvest. That was something that I was getting because I was praying, and I'm going through this transition right now that I don't really understand fully, but I know that it's something I'm supposed to do. And it just kept coming to me earlier today. You planted the roots, now it's time to grow. You planted the roots, you watered it, it's time to grow. Like, that's just all I kept getting. And yeah, that's kind of how I come up with the episodes.
You do something that I admire a lot. It's because it's not easy to do. Like, to be able to do something like where you talking consistently with nobody else for 15, 20, however many minutes by yourself. I did it when I started in the very beginning, where I recorded like an episode by myself for like, it was like 17 minutes long. And I was just talking. I was just so self-conscious. Like, I didn't really like the way I sounded. But just to be able to do that, where you can just talk with nobody else, not having a conversation like this, that's hard to do. So I really admire that. It ain't even something that I would like. I mean, I could do it, but not something that I really want to do. So for you to be able to do that, that's a skill and a gift of itself already.
Thank you.
But a couple of the topics that you touched on that I saw on YouTube that I want to ask you about, you said things you wish you knew in your 20s. What are some things, and people can go back and watch it, just a couple of things that you wish you knew back in your 20s?
I wish I knew boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I knew boundaries, because for so long I didn't realize that I was giving so much of myself to people, all for the name of love. When that's when I feel like you use love in vain, is when you give too much of it to get it, instead of just allowing and being yourself and giving what you can without emptying your own cup. I always tell, because I do coaching sometimes too, and I always tell my clients, you don't want to be on the back burner where you run out of water and you're boiling eggs, and you know how the eggs get all scorched, and you have to, and then they cracked, and then they're burned, and you can't use them no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to be like that. So that's why I wish I had boundaries. I wish I knew how to love myself more and take care of myself more, take care of my energy, take care of my heart more. And I guess that kind of ties into the boundaries part, but just really taking care of myself. I wish I knew that I was limitless. I wish I knew that I could do anything that I set my mind to. And that's something that my mom would tell me all the time, but it just didn't register. Yeah, it didn't register to me that that's actually true. And I don't think that it registers to her either, because even when I do tell her that I'm doing things, she's like, what are you doing? Like, are you sure about this? And I'm like, you always told me I could do whatever I put my mind to. And now I'm actually doing that thing. And just being limitless. And also, I wish I knew, well, I guess that kind of ties into, I wish I knew how to love myself more with being authentic. I wish I could have just showed up more as me, instead of what I thought people thought that I should be, or what I thought would appease to other people. You know, just not being a people pleaser. And just so many things. Yeah,
it's a lot of lessons, man. I wish I would. If I look back now, I'm like, man, to enjoy yourself, enjoy your journey, but also just be about your business. Because in your 20s, you really setting your foundation for what you want your future to look like.
Yeah.
And just being so young and in college, man, I ain't even think about like the long term future. I was just like living in the moment. Like, man, I'm young, I'm good. I got plenty of time. I'm gonna think about this stuff later.
Right.
But those really like the most important times of like of how you set the foundation for what you want your future to look like. But as kids, when you're young, you don't really think about that type of stuff, man. But I would tell anybody, man, that's enjoy yourself, but be about your business. But it's so much to it though. And one of the things I learned now, I tell people, like, you really have to be and this is one of the most critical things I learned just about being on my journey is like, you really have to be in a space to receive a message. You have to be, because if not, it's just gonna go over your head. Like, and I've learned that over the years. It's like, no matter how many times you tell people, like even like you say young kids in high school and college, if they're not in that space to receive that message, it's not gonna mean anything to them. And a prime example of that is just say like, for anybody, just say, for instance, like you might have a friend that's with somebody, like you say one of your homegirls has a boyfriend that you know he ain't no good, and no matter how many times you tell her you need to leave him, she stay, and that's because she's not in the space to receive that message. Or until she get in the space to where like she's fed up and she's tired of that situation, she's gonna stay in it. But until you in that space, no matter what it is, it might not even be a relationship, until you get in the space where you're able to like receive a message, it's just gonna go over your head. And for me, like when people told me certain things when I was younger, I wasn't in the space, so I didn't receive that message how I should. So I'll tell anybody, man, just be about your business and build for the long term future. But like I said, if you're not in that space to receive that message, it's not even gonna mean anything to you.
Like when I was telling you just now, when my mom said you could do anything you put your mind to, I wasn't in the space to receive that. But now it just keeps replaying in my head. And another thing that a lady from my hometown told me, or like in the neighborhood, she told me, she said, nothing worth having comes easy.
That's true.
And that message came to me earlier today because, I've just been spiraling a little bit about all the transition that I'm going through right now. And it just kept playing in my head, nothing worth having will ever come easy. And it's true. If you want something that has longevity, you have to work for it. It's not just going to fall into your lap.
Yep.
Even when it seems like it's these people that have these overnight successes and it just falls into their lap, there was work.
It was a journey, yeah.
Yeah, it was a journey. So, yeah, I definitely, also when you said be about your business, have fun, but be about your business. It's all about having that good balance.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have more than the other. Even with being too much about your business, like you gotta make some room for some playtime too, to just unwind and
because
let go.
You don't want to crash and burn, but playing too much, it'll cause
crash
you,
and burn.
Man.
Well, the thing about me, like when I'm not having any play, when I'm working too much and like not having enough time for me and to just relax and enjoy myself, I notice I'm creatively blocked. I can't come up with videos. I can't think of anything creative to do, and it's because I haven't had enough fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Another topic that you discussed recently was isolation versus separation, which was very interesting. Touch on that one a little bit as well, because I like the title of that.
So, I made that video. I think I was watching B. Simone's podcast, and she was talking about being in a separation phase. And I was like, you can isolate yourself out of trauma. But if you separate yourself, it's because you want to grow. You see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. But if you're isolating yourself, you're kind of putting a cap on that growth. And you're not you're not keeping your heart open to the possibilities. But if you just separate yourself for a little bit and you say, hey, I just need some time to gather. I need some time to just to myself so I can figure things out. But then revisit the person, the situation, the thing again with your heart open. But when you isolate yourself, you're closed off. You're closing yourself off to everything. And you're going into this cocoon and really never coming out, essentially. So it's like when because right now I'm in I was in an isolation phase, but then I have been more in a separation phase and kind of like my own little cocoon. And I stopped dating. I still have my friends, but I definitely reevaluated a lot of my friendships and just people who I was giving my energy to, jobs that I was giving my energy, just people at work I was giving my energy to. And so being in that cocoon, you allow for yourself to grow and you allow for yourself to transform into that butterfly, and then you're ready to come out. But as far as isolation, you just kind of just stay stuck.
Yeah, for me, I find myself sometimes isolated, and to me, sometimes it feels like it's not a good thing at times because it's like, man, it's like you don't intentionally try to like rub people the wrong way, but it's like, man, I just feel like because so many of the things I'm doing anyway, like I'm really like on the road by myself. I don't have anybody, so even when I take those drives up to Charlotte to cover the Hornets games, or I'm on a flight, it's like I'm always like alone at times, and it's tough to be like that.
Yeah.
And like you wish you had somebody you could like really go to at times to talk about certain things, but it's like, man, I'm just like kind of like distant from everybody else. Not that it's intentional, like I'm mad at anybody. It's like I just like I'm looking at the goal and trying to figure out what it is I'm trying to like where I'm trying to take this thing in life. And you just, to me, it's like you almost like you hope and pray that everybody understands. Okay, he's going through something, like he's building something, like he's working towards something, and they don't. You just hope and pray they don't take it personal. Like
Right.
you just doing this intention, like you just cutting them off from like you doing away with them. It's like, nah, I'm just going through a thing where like I'm just focused on the goal, and it's tough.
Yeah, it is.
Especially as an entrepreneur, like the journey is tough, and sometimes you do isolate yourself. Maybe not intentionally, but it's like you working towards something. So
Right.
you can kind of like, even if you with somebody like physically, like mentally, like your mind is like somewhere else.
Yeah.
Other than with the people that you love and you want to be there with them. Like,
I think isolation though, when you know how you say, man, I'ma just not talk to nobody because somebody made you mad.
yeah,
That's a trauma response. Not because these people, they love me, I love them, but I have something that I need to do to focus on me. That's separation. That's just separating yourself for the time being. But and then you revisit it. But isolation, you just doing it out of these fleeting emotions. And it's not an intentional thing. You really get nothing done when you're isolating. You can see people say, yeah, I just separate, I just isolate myself and I just don't talk to nobody. But then they never grow. They never grow out of that. And that's just a trauma response. So you just have to go back and figure out which one you're doing. Are you separating yourself because you need to get something done and you're communicating that to your people, saying, hey, I'm going to be gone for a while. This is what I'm doing. But we're going to catch up and I'm going to tell you all about it. That's separation. Isolation, I just don't want nothing to do with nobody. Everybody just do this, blah, 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 So you just got to know what intention you putting behind it.
so when you have to like take time to yourself and maybe not talk to your friends as much, do they understand? Do they take it personal? How do they receive it? Like when you have to like take more time to yourself.
Well, I don't have a lot of friends. I mean, I have friends, but I don't have a lot of friends. And the friends that I do have, they all are married and have
I'm about
kids,
the same way, yeah.
So they don't notice if if I don't call them like every other week or once a month or something. They don't notice. So I don't necessarily be having to tell people that I'm not going to talk to you. But I have a pretty good balance. So I feel like they don't notice because I'm still reaching out, and because I don't have all of those things. I don't have a boyfriend or anything like that, or kids or anybody else occupying my time but me. So when my time is not occupied by me, I can make time for other people. Like, I don't have an issue with that. Me talking to people that I love and that love me and that pour into me and I pour into them, I don't mind giving them my time if I'm working towards a goal. I just feel like sometimes we get too caught up in like self to where we don't focus on our community as well. I'm very big on community, and I like to keep up with my people and the people that I love that care about me.
Right. That's mainly what I really focus on, just the people that's in my circle, that I rock with, like on a day-to-day basis. Like we all in a group chat together, so we still check in, and we understand, man, like life. Everybody got their own life, family, kids, and everything like that. But I still, have times where I just have to focus on what I'm doing and what I'm building.
Right.
So even let's say, like right up, my birthday was I turned 33 back in March, and after that, I told her, hey, I told the fellas like I was making a joke. I was like, I'm retired, man, but I was serious. I was like, man, I'm about to just take some time to myself and just lock in on my goals. And man, I remember sitting at home, and I just made a list of stuff that I was just giving up for a whole entire month of April. I was like, and it was tough. I gave up. I put up no soda, candy, no music, no sex, no PS5, just like in downtown playing video games. Like, I gave up all the stuff, and it just showed me, man, like when you just cut out so many different type of distractions, man, and you got a clear cut decision of what you trying to do, and you working towards something,
you gonna get it.
You gonna
get it.
And when I did it, it was just like things just start happening.
Yeah.
Plus, like I said, I write everything down anyway. So that's when the opportunity came with the Sparks to go to LA, working with the Atlanta Dream. I did something with the baseball team right over here, the Spartanburgers. But it was just like, man, I just started cutting out all these distractions, and I start focusing. And it's like, man, when you eliminate these distractions and focus on really what you want and you working towards it, like, it's and I was actually gonna post it and show people, like, man, like you see me doing all this stuff online or whatever, but what's the work that come behind it? And I know a lot of people like, man, you gave up sex, it's hard, man. Listen, once you give it up and you just focus on your goals, man, you really can go without it.
Right.
But it's just
really
like,
can.
and it's just the power of like your mind and like what you really telling yourself, and like if you can control your man piece, man, look so much stuff you can really get done. But a lot of people,
so true.
It's like, and I tell people, like, make a decision what you really want and work towards it. But you got to give up something. You can't put something on that is easy. Like, put stuff on there that's hard to do.
So hard for you to do.
That's what you got to work on.
Yeah.
Stuff that you really like a lot of people watch Netflix all the time. Put that on there and give it away. And when you take away those hours of Netflix and put that towards something that you really want, watch what happens. But a lot of people are not disciplined enough to give up something that they're so accustomed to having all the time.
Right.
But for me, I was like, man, I know I'm not where I want to be in life. I'm willing to give up this stuff, man, and work towards it. And you just, like I say, you got to have that discipline to do something like that.
You do. Like, when I went into this separation phase, and I'm coming out of it, and it's a little scary because I'm like, ooh, what's out there? And I'm going to be flying around here, in my butterfly state, trying to figure out what's going on. But, like, I've been abstinent for a really long time. And I been in the gym, gave up a lot of stuff that I used to eat and all of that. And it's really changed my life. It's the discipline that you need to keep going. And I'm telling you, like, once you build that discipline, then you don't rely on motivation, because motivation is fleeting. And when you have that discipline, you're wired that way. That's how you think. That's how you move. Like, because even with this move that I'm doing, I'm like, okay, so how can I make time for the gym? What can I do if I have to do home workouts? Like, how can I, make this work? Because it's the discipline. I can't not do the things that I'm,
it's part of your routine. Your routine.
Yeah, it's
gym,
part of my
everything.
Routine. Yeah.
Yep. But like I said, that it's when you really focus on it, like, and put that time and energy into it, man, it makes a whole lot different. And for me, man, just like giving up, cause I'll be honest, like when I was on the road, man, I'll be outside, like I'm get my work done, and then I'm in the city trying to see what's going on. But then I got to a place, man, I'm like, it's tiring, it gets old, man. So when I went to LA, it was strictly going to do my work. This time I ain't party or nothing. I was doing my work, and I came back, and just like I said, just having that discipline and that structure. And like I said, nothing wrong with having a good time, but man, when you can really control yourself, and like you said, you see a lot of different things on the road. There's so much temptation out there with women all over. And then when they find out some of the work that I do, that make it even harder, because now it's like, what are you really trying to get close to me for? But man, I just cut out those distractions this time, and like I said, I'm just staying focused. But I say, if it's something that you really want, you got to lock in and give up something that's really hard for you to give up and work towards. And that time and energy that you were giving to that one thing, once you put it towards something that you really want to go after, man, it might not happen overnight, but
But it'll happen.
it'll fall in place.
It'll happen as long as you believe it and you putting in the work behind it as well. So it's both. They both tie in together.
Mm-hmm.
And just stay prayed up.
Yep. Couple more questions. So, I don't want to say ultimately, but like, what are some of your visions for a dose of Destiny? Because I don't want to say ultimate goal because you can hit that goal. It's always something else that you can achieve no matter what. So I don't want to say ultimate goal, but like, what is your vision for a dose of Destiny?
I really want to bring more vlogs to my channel. I do vlog, just my regular life that I do as a single girly with nothing to do really. Not just how I romanticize my life and how I enjoy my life still, even though I don't have a lot of the things that other people do around me. I still find ways to enjoy myself, just my own company. Because I feel like a lot of people don't be knowing how to do that if they single. Like, they don't know how to enjoy their own company. But I want to travel more and bring the vlogs and just talk about all of the things that I'm doing as far as all of the things that I'm learning while I'm traveling. And I'm hoping that my videos will evolve along with that. I essentially want to keep it not the same, but the same idea with just me doing my talking videos where I'm just giving the real. I want to be more authentic, want to bring more of my funny side to the channel. And I also want to bring more of my foodie side. I like to branch out and eat all kind of different stuff and try different things. So I eventually want to be bringing shorts to the channel where I'm doing that, and more interviews with people. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And taking people along that journey is so important. To me, I feel like it's so important because they only see like what's in front of the camera, but they don't know the behind the scenes, like the work that you put in. And people nosy, man, so they like to see what you have going on regardless.
Right.
So just to take them on that journey and let them see everything, and it makes it feel like they like really know you, and it's like you're more personable and relatable. So people like that type of stuff. So definitely continue doing what you're doing, man. And it's like I said, I'm following the journey. You know, I'm behind you. And like I said, I do some of the same stuff, like some of the behind the scenes stuff with the conversations that we have, and for the documentary I talked about on your platform, like people gonna get to see a lot of stuff, the good, the bad. You like I said, the temptation. Like you gonna see a lot of this stuff, but I wanted something that people can relate to, and because everybody's going through something, and just to show you like this is the work that I put in to get to where I'm going, and just showing you the faith that you have to have and the work to put into it and everything. And so
the sacrifice.
Yeah, the sacrifice. It's a lot of sacrifice.
I mean, a lot.
A whole lot. It's so many hours that, man, and the time, the effort, the energy, the money, everything, anything you can think of, it's a lot that goes into it when you going after your craft and finding your purpose. But like I said, you feel more fulfilled knowing that you're doing something that you love doing rather than helping somebody else build their dream and their own vision.
Exactly. Yep. Like, I just want people to see that a regular girl like me can do it. So you can do it. You can follow your dreams, whatever that dream is. And also just really bringing people closer to God. And in their own way. Not making it so, you know, like how when we grew up in the church, or I don't know if you grew up in the church, but it just felt too conditioned, too boxed
like if you don't do this, you're going to hell and stuff like that.
And that's not real. You know, like that's just a scare tactic. And I feel like you can believe in God and, you know, be a Christian. I don't really put a label on like my beliefs or anything like that. I just believe in God. But if you call yourself a Christian or whatever you call yourself, you can still be those things and still have fun and still live your life and still believe and still be a good person. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, I'm a Christian, so I can't say hell.
Yeah, you don't have to be so uptight about everything.
Like,
you
you
still
don't have
enjoy
to put yourself in a box. Like, allow yourself to be free. Believing in God is freedom. Like, you don't have, that's not something that you, and I think that's why a lot of people don't follow or believe, because they feel like, oh, well, if I believe and if I put too much into this, then I'm going to have to do this and give up this. And, which you do have to give up things, but not because you feel like you have to. It's going to be because you want to. And it's it's just gonna feel right. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I want to be bringing.
Yeah, and like I said, just that having that faith in God. Like I said, I never like force my beliefs on anybody.
Yeah.
But like I said, I grew up in the church, and trust me, God see everything I'm doing, and even the stupid stuff that I'm doing. And I know He like, man, look at here, you doing a little bit too much. But He still keep me through all these different situations,
Exactly.
and still bless me with other opportunities, things that like I never even seen myself doing. Like I didn't see a studio or going to Staples Center, working with these different teams and interviewing entrepreneurs or any of this stuff. But it's just something that He presented before me, and it's like I just investing my time and energy, still just trying to figure everything out and put my best foot forward. But like I said, it's faith and hard work that comes with everything. So my last and final question I want to ask you that I love to ask entrepreneurs: what does self-investment mean to you?
Self-investment means, to me, believing in myself, going after the things that I want, really taking the time to figure out what it is that I want to pour my energy into.
Mm-hmm.
But along with that, building your inner world, getting to that healing, releasing those limiting beliefs, releasing all of the things that you feel hold you back, all of the abandonment wounds, the rejection wounds, all of those wounds, father wounds, mother wounds, all of those things that will hold you back. They will, because it's a way of thinking. It's your mindset. So shifting that mindset so that you can start to see that shift in your outer reality as well. But also building that discipline, getting in the gym, eating right, and if you feel like sex is a thing for you, abstaining from it. If you feel like Netflix is a thing for you, abstaining from that. Just building that discipline and getting into the habit of building you up. Because if you don't have a solid foundation within yourself, you're not going to be able to build a solid foundation with nothing else. It all starts within. And then everybody say, oh, it just starts with yourself. It starts with yourself. But I don't think that people really know what that means truly. But to me, that's what that means, and that's what self-investment means.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Destiny. I enjoyed this conversation. Like I said, I'm glad I got a chance to catch you before you skipped town on us. And then I ain't no telling when we would have been able to have this conversation. But I really appreciate you taking the time and just, sharing your journey. And I know a lot of people going to enjoy this. Like I said, I learned some things about you that I didn't even know. Like I said, I knew you from high school, but I didn't really know you like that.
Right.
So, and I always had it like, I just thought you were just so shy and quiet and never really talked. So just to see this different side of you, man, it's really been a pleasure to see your journey and watch everything unfold and continue to watch your journey as well.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Most definitely. You'll be able to come back again anytime.
Yeah, for sure.
So before we get out of here, though, can you tell everybody how they can find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Dose of Destiny 44. You can find me on Instagram at girl.dest, D-E-S-T. And if you want to follow me on TikTok, I don't post a lot on TikTok, but you can follow me on there. It's _Dose of Destiny. I
got to get on TikTok. I still ain't been on there yet.
I don't love it. I don't know. It's a lot.
But they say it's the platform that really can help, things really take off. I guess for me, it's because of the work that I do and, like the highlight clips and everything like that, I can post courtside access and interview clips and stuff like that. So that's why people tell me that's why I need to use it. But I still I'm going to do it, but I haven't done it yet. But I'm going to work on it. I am going to get on. I'm going to get on TikTok.
You need to.
But Destiny, thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
And hopefully everybody enjoyed this episode of the Cross the Line podcast. Till next time, keep chasing your dreams. Thank you for listening.